Hello? Is this working? I'm sure it's probably working. Hello everybody, this is Will Robson here, comic book artist. Artist on such things as Spider-Man, Deadpool, Great Lakes Avengers, other cool stuff. And yeah, I thought I'd just do another little broadcast. Because I need to knuckle down and finish this cover. Now last time we did this cover, this was cover 10 of 12 for this gigantic collection of covers. You see how big these covers are, or I mean how much they connect. So this was the first one, into the second, into the third, into the fourth, into the fifth, into the sixth. Now I think the sixth cover, this one here, this is the most recent one out, and that's 7, 8, 9, and then we did 10, and now I'm on 11, and then the last one will be 12, and they're being bookmarked by Young Jack and Older Jack. I realise I haven't even done his smile yet. So let's get on with this. Now I've pretty much done all the basic inking so far for this one. I'm just finishing up some line art on this cool dude in the background. And then once that's done, we'll add the final inks. You might hear the snoring of my dog, which is now, you know, a part of my show. She's lying in my lap, fast asleep. And yeah, so give me a second, let me just check out if I am actually live. Yeah, so give me a second, let me just... Yep, I am. And hopefully the live chat feature will work. And it will pop up on screen so I can see what everyone's saying, because I'm lying down on the sofa and I don't have another screen to see what's going on. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask. So I'm using a 1.5 fine liner. This is a custom fine liner I made myself. Basically, it's pretty much, you see the thick to thin there? There's not too much difference. Let me zoom in. You can see that it goes from 1 pixel to about 3 pixels. See that? So there's just a very thin difference in the fine liner, and that's so that I can keep it relatively looking all the same, but there's still, like, it's not just a blunt line like this one. There's still a bit of thin to thick in it. And I made this brush, and I can't even remember how I made it, but I did. It was a long time ago. I have the stabilization up to 100 on this, because I just find it's better to use with the iPad Pro, which is what I'm working on. It looks good, thank you very much. Snort, that's from my dog. That's a approving snort. Another approving snort. Yeah, so I'm just working, you know, just getting the jobs done. Currently on a couple of projects. I'm on a secret project for Image Comics with one of the Image founders, which is very exciting. Yep, I know, it's very exciting, snort. And I'm also doing a 4-page short for a Marvel comic, an annual book, which I cannot tell you what character, but I get to draw a bunch of really cool superheroes in it, which is always fun, and in their old school costumes. I think I posted up a Wolverine on my social media. And I'm also doing some covers for some other companies, and just a busy boy. Isn't that right, Luna? There you go. See, she approves. How you doing, Mad Chill Red Masters? You doing good? Make sure these lines are connected behind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know if you guys have seen, but recently, where is it? Here it is. I've been doing some chibi artwork recently, which has been fun. This is Chris Redfield. Got a little reference up there. And I did Barry, which was a lot of fun. Now, I think Barry, I did a lot looser sketching. You see how the lines are all scratchy. And then Chris, I did a bit more tighter. And I actually think that the loose sketchiness looks a bit cooler. And I used a watercolor opaque brush to color it in, because I want to start fiddling with watercolors, so I figured I'd try it out digitally first, even though that makes not really any sense. But it's fun, it's loose, and I like the way it looks. So I've been doing that not for any professional work, just been doing that for shits and giggles. Yeah, it's got a cape down here. I'd love to see your art in an audiobook. An audiobook? What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm going to do this handy dandy trick. I'm going to select outside of the object. Hopefully I've closed up all the lines. Snort. Yep, looks like I have. And we're going to do this action that I created. Size 3 outline, which puts a size 3 outline around the whole image, plus a shrunk by 3, because that's the size of the line, white layer. Now we're going to take that, I'm going to drag that below. And you can see that it missed some spots, so we're just going to fill that in. White. Back on the main layer. And boom, we got a separated piece. I like to see an audiobook. It's almost like your ad is made on music. Well, you got 2 snorts of approval for that. Or big snort of approval. Now we're going to separate some of the objects here, so that they pop a bit more. Art is made on music. What? I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about. Sorry. I'm an idiot. So today is Monday, and it was the Super Bowl last night, which I didn't get to watch because I live in England, and that starts at around 11 o'clock at night and ends at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to get up for work. So every year I wait, I avoid the internet for any spoilers for the game, and then I watch it at night. But my brother, who I talk to every morning on the phone, the first thing he said to me on the phone was, "Oh man, did you see that this team won the Super Bowl?" And I was like, are you joking me right now? He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot that you watch it, haha." And he spoiled the whole freaking game for me, so that was great. So I'm still going to watch it tonight. But I'm going to go into it knowing the end results, which is always annoying. It's happened to me a couple of times, and it's never as fun. I know, it's annoying. Give me a snort if you think it's annoying. A little snort? What about a big snort? No? Okay. She doesn't find it that annoying. Okay, that guy's done. Now I do a lot of triangle shapes in this. As you can see, this is a triangle. This is a triangle. That's not a triangle. That's not a triangle. Neither is that. This is a triangle. This is a triangle. That's not. Ooh, getting a laggy computer. That's not. What I'm saying is your art looks like it was made on music, like an epic song was playing. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, thank you very much. So that means that there's a lot of motion and movement in it. So that's great. Good to hear. I get what you're saying now. But yeah, I use a lot of triangles. This is a composition method that is certainly popularized by the amazing oil painter Frank Frazetta. He frames a lot of his stuff in triangles. This is something that I learned by looking at Greg Capullo's art, because he uses a lot of triangles as well, and he is a big Frank Frazetta fan, and that he got influence from that, so that's where I got influence for it. Now, I need to add to this jabroni right there need to add some lightning effect. Snort. And I don't think I've never really drawn lightning before. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to wing it. I've got a hairpin sable brush, which is a very thin to thick brush. Maybe I have two here. This one has no stabilization, so let's try this. I want to just make it look like there's lightning coming from. Let's also change this color so I can see it over the black of other stuff. That lightning branches off like a tree, from what I can think of in my brain. In my brains. Oh my god, so many podcast notifications. Speaking of podcasts, if you're a fan of Spider-Man the Animated Series, me and my brother do our own podcast called Spider-Man the Animated Series Podcasts. And we interview people that were voice actors on the show, and we review episodes, and it's a good time. So if you're into that, go on iTunes or SoundCloud, search Spider-Man TAS, which is the animated series podcast, and you should see my name pop up. We did an interview with me, so if you want to know more about how I broke into the comic book business, snort, there is more information about that, because I tell that story quite a lot, and it's nice to have it in one place. Now I'm adding a couple of extra lines over some of the lines to indicate more of the electricity, because I don't want it to be, I want it to be a bit sporadic, you know? I think that looks enough like lightning. So I'm going to make that into a color layer. Select the color, selection colour gamut. I'm going to fill this with white. This is all experimentation right now because I've never done this sort of effect. And we're going to expand by what? 1. Fill in black. And then we have an lightning effect. I think that works pretty well. Actually, it'd be better as just a solid colour, and then the colours can change it to whatever colour they want. So let's make that. Redo. Where's the redo button? Oops. Undo. There we go. Let's make this an ice blue. Fill that sucker in. Now we want to make this a top layer, so we're going to name this lightning. We want to. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to select all these above layers. I'm going to put them in an own folder, so now everything is selected. Now I'm going to select around. I'm going to invert it, which is the invert button, it's this one, isn't it? I'm going to clear, and then put the lightning on top. Now, it's the top layer. You guys see what I just did there? So, all of these layers here, I put them in one folder, selected the outside of them, reversed the selection so it was selecting them, and then I click clear on the lightning layer, so now this is the top layer and all the other bits aren't. So it looks like it's behind but the layer's on top. It's something I do for colorists. It was something I was taught to do. If you want to add an effect and you want the colorist to play with that effect, you have to put it on a different layer and make it the top layer, so when the colorist goes into it they have that separate layer for lightning and they can fiddle with it any way they want. Hope that makes any sense. Snort. You know what's so funny is that she has been sitting on my lap all day and sleeping as well, but she hasn't snored at all. It's like she knew that I had a video to make, so she's like, "Oh, are you gonna make a video? Well, I'm just gonna snore then." She loves snoring, so. So now we've made a new layer, and I'm using the head and sable brush, and I'm adding thin to thicks. They need to be a bit thicker. I also might turn off stabilization, because these are quite loose. These. So I'm still loving the iPad Pro. I still think that my art is a bit tighter on a Wacom Cintiq, but just the portability of the iPad Pro is amazing. I love being able to work wherever I want, whenever I want. I've been tempted to go into town and do some work, like in a cafe or something, to switch up my surroundings, but I have a dog that I have to look after, so that would mean leaving her alone. And I don't think Captain Snort would like that very much. And there are some cafes that allow dogs, but looking after her while working, that just sounds like a nightmare. And they're usually pubs, and I know if I ended up going to a pub to do work, I would just end up getting drunk. So this is a close-up of one of these dudes' hats. These are guys from the actual Big Trouble in Little China film. They're the three sort of ninja warrior guys. They have lightning. You could tell that they were definitely inspired Mortal Kombat. What's his name? Raiden. And the precursors to him. I was losing my train of thought there. I started inking this guy's leg, not realising it was in the background. Ooh, that was a big snore. She's going for the record. It's too thick. I'll drag my redo button up here. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I just realised that I did not separate these. So again, I've said this a million times on my channel, but this method of inking and drawing, where you do a thin line art first, adds the thick bits to separate shapes, and then do the final links at the end. This is a method popularized and founded by great artist Freddie Williams, who has his own YouTube channel and his own book, DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawing Comics, and it's something that really made me understand the process. Like, if I can I have trouble where a lot of people can pencil and then they can add line weights on the fly. Artists like Todd Knock, who also has a very popular YouTube channel. And I'm very jealous of the ability to just instantly make line weights on your work, but I, personally, my brain cannot create the three-dimensional shapes and think about shading and lighting at the same time, so I have to do the steps separately. And that's how I can get my work done in the best possible way. The problem with this is when you finish, when you finish this stage, you're like, oh, I finished the cover. No, you've still got a ton of work to do. Should I be inking him? I should probably be inking this guy first, because he's the second layer. I need to get this done as it's late. deadlines piling up on my plate. I still haven't finished that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cover I needed to do. But I'm hoping, not next week, but the following week, I can finally tackle that out. I think I will film myself doing that one as well. Because when I do these videos, it keeps me working constantly, which is good. Instead of getting distracted with video games and cleaning and whatever else needs to get done around the house. Now these dots that I add at the end of lines, these are me suggesting there is a continuation of the line, but it's getting smaller and smaller, so it's breaking off into nothingness. It's just a way to continue the shapes that we've created, but add a bit more depth. This is done by a lot of artists by doing this, which sometimes I like to do, where you feather the lines like that. But I like just a couple little dots. I think it's sort of my style. And it adds variations to the lines. Oh, big snort. I've started recently playing Fallout 4 again. And that game is just depressing. Like, it is a very depressing game. Like, every time I play it, I leave it like, oh, what's the point of life? I'm also terrible at it. Like, I think I put all the wrong type of stats into my character, and he is useless. He dies all the bloody time. He can't kill anything. Besides that, I've been playing Pokemon Sun on my 3DS, which has been good fun. I was not a fan of it at first, because it took bloody ages to even catch a Pokemon, and all of the story with all the people being like, hey, great job, kid, you're doing awesome. Ugh, it's driving me mad. I was like, I just want to get out in the world and catch Pokemon. But now that ball is rolling, I'm enjoying it more. I still find myself, like any new Pokemon game, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'll use some of these new Pokemon, but then I always end up using the same exact Pokemon from the original blue and red games. I'm like, no, I'm going to branch out, I'm going to try new ones. But sometimes I like to play as a bad guy in those games. Like, I'm a member of Team Rocket, so I get like a Coughing, and I get like an Ekans, and a Meowth, and I stack them up big time, and I pretend like I'm a member of Team Rocket, which is fun. I'm in the danger zone where my dog's not snoring, she's breathing, and then suddenly she'll just have a huge, gigantic snore. Which is always fun when you're watching something dramatic on TV, or playing Resident Evil or something like that, and then suddenly she goes, snort! And you're like, oh my god! Always scares the crap out of me. Now, do I want to add thick black here? Yep, I do. I like that. That's kind of just like adding a shadow and separating the cape from his back. this to this pattern of this hat. So what? Tried to play. So I've been getting a lot back into video games recently. That's why I'm talking about them. I set up in my living room. I have an N64, PlayStation 2, the small one. So it plays PlayStation 1 games as well. PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and a Wii. They're all hooked up to my main television unit. And I've been playing a couple of games. I've been getting a lot into Wii recently because the Wii games are stupid cheap right now. So I've just been buying them in bulk, selling off ones I don't want, and keeping all the good ones, and basically not spending any money on them, because when I go to sell all the other games, it's all paid for itself, so it's great. If you're into collecting, and you're into trying to get games for cheap, that's one really good way to do. Buy bulk job lots of games, sell off the ones you don't want, and more often than not, you end up getting pretty much video games for free. So I've been playing a lot of Wii, which is good fun, but I really wanted to play Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I was like, oh man, I haven't played that game since I was a kid. I used to love that game. I never beat it as well. I got stuck on one mission where I had to travel around and like blow up the mall or something like that. I plugged it in, got ready to play it, and it was completely unplayable. Like, the game is definitely dated to the point where it's just impossible now. I'm like, the driving's easy, but the shooting is impossible, and the graphics look freaking awful, especially on my modern day television, where I was just like, I can't play this. I've also, every day I just play a tiny bit of Breath of the Wild. I have a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time amiibo, and I'm trying to get the Ocarina of Time outfit, but it never gives it to me. It's driving me nuts. Because I don't want to go fight Ganon yet. I want to fight Ganon in my Ocarina of Time outfit with the Master Sword and the shield. I've already got the Master Sword and the shield. I want to, have that, like, my final boss experience in the old school custom that I love and grew up on. But the amiibo has yet to give me a single piece of the clothing from it. And I know people said, like, oh, you can change the time on your Switch and you can keep doing it over and over again. But I'm a bit of a purist in the way where I'm like, no, I want to get it when the game gives it to me. But I've been pretty tempted recently because the game is definitely holding out. I'm sure you guys are all very interested in my gaming. I also got Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I've been trying to play that with John Rector, but it's been impossible to play with other people online. And I'm just woeful at it. I'm so bad at that game. I get my butt... I've only won one online match. My butt is always toast. And I'm considering selling it because I'm just dreadful at it. I might trade it in and get something like Super Mario Odyssey. Sometimes play a bit of Skyrim. I'm all over the place right now. I'm not sticking to just one game. I'm just, whenever I fancy playing a certain game, I just hop into it. Like, I'm still playing Final Fantasy Tactics on my Game Boy Advance. Anytime I fancy just having a match in that, I do it. It's still one of my favourite games of all time. But I would say Pokemon is definitely taking my interest the most right now. I haven't seen any comments pop up, so let me just check on my phone that they're actually coming through. Yep, I guess you guys are just not chatty then, jeez. So I've heard a lot of things about YouTube recently, about taking away monetization for people that don't make regular videos, or people that don't have a certain amount of subscribers. And I think that's not great for people that are trying to start making a living on YouTube, or take the time to upload these videos and stuff. I think people should get money for it, because it's not like you get a ton. I've gotten some money off of the videos I've done. What are you working on for Boom Comics right now? Just this collection of covers. I've done also some WWE covers, because I'm a big wrestling fan. But I don't know the release dates of them. I think only the Mankind one I did is out right now. But that's it for Boom. I've been in talks. They said they want to talk to me after I finish these connecting covers. They have something else in mind for me. So I'm always happy to work with them. They're nice people. Good, easy to get along with. And they're very kind with deadlines. They understand that I have obligations for monthly work with my other books, so sometimes, sadly, the covers have to take a back seat. But like I said, they're more than understanding, and they give me deadlines months in advance, so that it's not like, you know, sometimes with Marvel it's like, hey, can you do this cover? And I'm like, yeah, alright, it's due tomorrow. So you have to be like, oh crap, and you have to drop everything and get that cover done. But with Boom, they're a bit more like, hey, here's the cover. It's not going to be out or in previews for like 3 months, so you got time. But I still ask them to give me a deadline, because, for instance, in this image book I'm working on right now, there is no deadline at all. It's just do it whenever you fancy, in between other projects. And I kind of hate that, because there'll be days where I'm like, oh, I could work on this, but I don't really need to. There's no deadline. I'm just going to play freaking Zelda all day. So, you know, you get distracted. I love having a deadline, because it's like, no, this is due then, so you need to work on this, otherwise the book's going to be late. And I'm trying to keep my squeaky clean record of not having any books late going, because that's how you get more work in this business. You don't have to have the best art, you just have to be easy to work with and get your deadlines in on time. That's right, no, snort. Let's get a bit more thickness. Ink underneath this hat. How often have you had to rework a piece because an editor wants to change some things? Depends on the editor. A lot of editors just give you complete and total creative control. Other editors like minor tweaks. Some want gigantic. Some ask you to, you know, change the whole entire thing, which can be very annoying. So it just depends. Like I've personally reworked some of my own stuff, even when it's done, when I just don't think it's good enough. But yes, there's been many a times, not too many times. Like I would say when I worked in independent comics, you know, for people in indie comics, that's when I got the most fixes, because they were all, it wasn't really having an editor, it was more having the writer be your editor, and the writers can be very precious with their work, and my art wasn't as good as it is now when I was doing it, so excuse me. I used to have a lot of asks for changes and fixes and stuff like that, reworks. But recently, I would say on my image book, at the beginning of the book, there was a lot of reworking done. Because I was just jumping right in, drawing the character I've never drawn before. But now, I'm at a mutual understanding with the creator of how we want the main character to look. Now it's just been easy, so much to the point where I haven't even handed in pencils. I've just handed in fully inked pages, being like, here's page 15 and here's page 17, and there's complete trust there that the book's going to come out the way we want it to. So it's different with different editors. Good question, though. Never been asked that question before. It is a good question. Give me more questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk about video games. And my dog. You see, I'm taking off work to study creative. I remember you did that a while back. Yes, when I graduated university, I had a summer where I had to find work. So whilst I was job hunting, I would spend all day every day, studying how to draw. For, literally all day. Like, just drawing. And the nice thing about when you start drawing constantly like that is you get better immediately. Your eye starts to see the mistakes that you've been making, and you start getting just better at, you trial and error. You'll try and draw like an arm, and it'll look like crap. And you'll keep drawing the arm a million times until one time you try and approach drawing the arm in a different way. You're like, well, maybe I'll start with the wrist this time, or maybe I'll start with the muscles here, and then suddenly you're like, oh crap, that's how you draw an arm, that looks good. And then the scary thing is that will slow down. You'll stop learning stuff as fast as you have been, and then also you'll look back and be like, oh, that arm looks terrible. I thought it looked good, but it looks bad. And then you were like, wait a minute, I have no idea how to draw an arm. And then you realize that it's just a never-ending cycle of what your eyes can see right now is they're not used to what they're going to be able to see, if that makes any sense. I'm at a point now where I'm pretty comfortable with whatever I draw. There's not much that I can't draw now. And I'm pretty happy with the shapes I'm doing. Like, I also say I'm not producing the best work I could possibly do. When you're a comic book artist, you have to work in a deadline mind frame. So there's certain details and things that you would spend more time doing if you had all the time in the world. When you got bills to pay, those books need to come out. And bills need to get paid, so you just develop a way to speeding up your work. Yep, she's in full snore. I can't believe that this is now like a thing, a part of my channel. Yeah, it's a staple now. But good, I'm glad that you're spending time learning how to draw. Just know it's going to be very tough. You're going to think you suck. You're going to want to give up a lot. You're going to get extremely frustrated that you can't draw the thing that you're studying how to draw. But do know that over time, you'll get better. That stress will go away. But at the same time, you do need to know that, one, you'll never be as good as an artist as the people that inspire you. Like for me, it's Tom McFarlane, Greg Capullo. They are my top inspirations. Just know that you're never going to surpass them in talent, because even if other people would think you're better than them, in your mind you never will be. And you got to be okay with that. You can be like, that's fine. As long as I'm a professional, as long as I produce professional looking work, that's all you need. You don't need to be as good as Greg Capullo to draw comics. He's at the top of the league. You need to be as good as the guy at the bottom of the pit, aka me. You need to be as good as me to get into comics. That's what I'm saying. If you want to do filler-ins, you better get better than me, which is not hard to do. I'm pretty crap. For instance, these lines make no sense, so we're getting rid of them. Should I put a bit of shade here? Probably. Yeah, I'm going to say that. Next question. Better ask a question, guys, otherwise you're just going to hear a dog snore. See, I told you. Still not happy with the way... It's harder to do line weights on the iPad. Definitely is. What happens on the paper is not what my brain is asking for it to do. So I just think my art looks generally sloppier on the iPad. But I'm sticking to it because I just want it to be the main thing I use. It'll be a learning curve. I'm still not... It's not like I'm producing terrible looking stuff. Like, this is all done on the iPad. And this all looks pretty cool. But, like, for instance, like, you can see on his hair here, this line, like, it's pretty sloppy looking. And the thickness of his shoulder going over his face. It's not as tight as what my other previous arts look like. So, I'm working on it. I think it has a lot to do with the glossiness of the iPad screen itself. It's a very slippery screen, so, on paper, there's a bit of coarseness. What was the biggest project you've worked on last year? Are you allowed to say? I know Great Lakes Avengers. Oh, I missed the end of it. The question. The biggest project I worked on last year... I mean, the longest run I've had on a book so far has been the Great Lakes Avengers. But, that ended this time last year. I stopped working on that around February or March. And then after that, I moved into doing fill-ins on a book called Royals, which is about the Inhumans. And then I also did a short in a Secret Wars? No, what's it called? What's the new Captain American thing called? Secret Empire, that's it. I did a short for a Secret Empire anthology about Bob the Hydra agent. And then I moved into doing, working on prelims for this image book and also 2 issues of Spider-Man and Deadpool, which was really great fun for me. Very satisfying to finally be able to draw Spider-Man, legitimate Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe. That was a real treat. And drawing Deadpool as well. Like, you couldn't ask for more. Drawing Spider-Man and Deadpool, yes please. I think my iPad would be close to working on paper since you could just hold it in your lap and your hand with a notepad. Yeah, I mean, you could do that with any tablet. But the fact is that I'm drawing on a very glossy screen. So your hand does quiver and slip. But my biggest project, I would say, has been this new image book. Because there'll be more issues of this than Great Lakes Avengers. Secret Warriors, yes. Yeah, I worked on Secret Warriors at the end of last year. That was a lot of fun and really cool to hear that that's being turned into an animated film. Are you still freelance or under contract? I'm freelance, like most modern artists now today. That's why I can work on stuff like Image or Boom Studios, all these other things. Marvel doesn't really give out full-time contracts like they used to. DC definitely does. DC seems to be eating up all the talent. But Marvel seems to like keeping people freelance. Because I think it's more, if you are full-time, they have to find work for you. Where if you are freelance, they find projects that they think will be the best fit for you. If that makes sense. So you're not just being chucked on something because you have to. You're being chosen for a project because you're the perfect fit for it. Which I think is a good way of working. I also like having the freedom of not knowing I'm locked down to a certain company. And I have also been very lucky with getting continuous work. Whereas I know some people, they might do a project here or a project there, but then they might be few and far in between, so they have to have other jobs that they need to do. And I'm always nervous that that's going to happen to me, where one day I'll be twiddling my thumbs like, hey, I need to draw something, guys. Anybody out there need something drawn? But I've been very fortunate, and I've worked hard to solidify me having constant work. If I know a book's ending, then I make a point to find more work and set it up, and make introductions to other companies. Like I was chatting to DC Comics the other day about some future stuff. Maybe when this image book's done, we'll see what Marvel has for me as well. So yeah, freelancing is tough. You need to figure out how to get a handle on it, and you need to learn how to be strict with yourself, because I admit there are days where I'm just like, you know what, screw working today. I'm just going to play video games and eat pizza. And that happens sometimes, not all the time. Not like it happens every week. I wish I could have a pizza and video game day every week. Maybe I should work towards that. But yeah, you need to be disciplined. But also, knowing that you have bills to pay does make you a bit disciplined. I think I saw your other question that came through is, are you working on a personal project on the side? I am. I'm working on a book called Leave None Alive. But it's moving very slowly because I keep getting more and more work and I have more and more bills to pay. So I've been focusing more on my other projects. But personal projects is something that I would eventually love to just do. I'd love to one day be able to write and draw my own Marvel comic. Do like a couple years on a run of Spider-Man or Deadpool where I'm the writer and the artist, so I can check that off the list. And then after that, I would like to head back over to Image and write and produce my own comic for about a decade. maybe get like 100 issue run out of it, make something of it, and then let's see where the road takes me after that. I tell you, like right now I'm doing this cover. My favorite thing is to do covers because you get to jump into a property and you get to get the instant satisfaction of drawing characters without having to do all the grunt work. Like, I get to draw this image of this dude kicking this guy in the face, fun stuff, electricity, like, all of this is like, you know, you get to draw super fun characters, but I don't have to draw them doing the menial things, like talking, or drinking at a coffee shop, driving in a car. All of the storytelling aspects are really thrown out the window when you do a cover, for the most part. And that's why covers are super fun. So anytime I get an email where it's like, hey, do you want to do a Venom cover? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to draw Venom. Because that's the closest I feel to getting to being like a kid again, just sketching in your sketch pad, drawing like a giant cool image of Batman or something. Like, that's what comic book covers are like. Except you get paid for it, which is always cool. You had a character inspired by Judge Dredd. Ever thought about adding Easter eggs into your pages you work on? That character, yeah, you're talking about Jed, which is just Judge Dredd abbreviated. He's already made appearances in Marvel books and all of my projects. He's been in the background of stuff loads. Jed's another character I'd like to bring back at some point. A lot of my ideas, I think I would like to pass off to other artists to accomplish, and I'll just write it. Because I don't have the time to draw these projects by myself. Like, last year I commissioned an artist to draw a zombie book I made, so they drew 3 issues of that, and I'm going to do the covers. Yeah, writing's definitely something I really want to get into on the professional side as well. But Jed, he's in the background of certain stuff. I can't remember exactly what. I think there's a Jed action figure in Great Lakes Avengers, or a Jed comic book. And Elizabeth from Leaving Alive, my main character, she's always in the background in crowds. Just look for a girl with a fringe, or if you're in America, bangs, and short curly hair. I've drawn her loads. I've also drawn... I was really into Death Note last year. I watched that anime for the first time. And you'll see Kira in the background holding the Death Note in Spider-Man and Deadpool on page 1. And I do loads of that stuff. No one ever catches this stuff, but it definitely keeps myself entertained while I'm spending loads of time working on these books. I don't do too many Easter eggs on covers, more interior stuff. If you hear that sound of licking, that's my dog licking her paws. Sounds pretty gross. As an artist, when you commission another artist to draw your story, do you want to be hands-on with art? Oh, I missed the end of it, but I think I understand what you're saying. Do I want to be hands-on, or do I let them just go with it? Well, when I hired... Oh, sorry. Well, you should. Reading comics is the best. When I hired artist, his name is Marco Maccagni. He's an Italian artist, fantastic artist, really love it, really cartoony, fun style. I gave him some character concept art I drew. This is what I want these people to look like, definitely, the 2 main characters. But please, fiddle with them to find exactly the way you want to draw them. And then I gave good descriptions and all the other characters and what they should look like in the script. But paneling and all that stuff, I really left it up to him because he was just so good. Like, I had complete trust in him. There was a couple of times where I said, hey, I think that this shot should be like this. Or even in the script, I said, I want this shot to be like this because that's exactly what I pitched in my head. But I definitely do not do that for every panel. That's just a very... I would have that maybe 3 times inside a whole book. And that's, there's usually like an average of 5 panels a page, 20 pages. So, out of nearly 100 panels, I would say, I asked him to maybe draw exactly 3 or 4 panels. And there's been times where I'm like, hey, that face looks a bit wonky and stuff. And it gets fixed, but I'm definitely not super anal about it. I mean, I worked on an independent book. I've worked in tons of independent books, but when I was starting out, I worked on this one book, which I won't say the title of, because I don't want to offend the writer, but it got to a point where the guy didn't like the way I was paneling, or any of the story stuff. He's like, yeah, it's just not the way I pictured it. I was like, okay, well, this is the way I do it. He's like, yeah, here. And this guy was not an artist, he was a writer. He drew stick figure drawings and layouts of the page. Like, he would send me something like, I see the book going like this, and he would draw like stick figures. He's like, these are the shots that I was picturing. And it was ridiculous because, one, hang on before I delete this. One, he didn't understand that panels go in a Z reading formation. The panel needs to flow. You need to read across the top. It needs to move down to the next panel here. Like there's a big Z formation, or as some people call it, the backwards S. There's a flow to a page. So he was a writer. He didn't understand any of the flow, so he was just making up panels. And he had a lot of wide shots, and it was just the worst. I did not enjoy my work at all. I was just copying someone else's idea. And it didn't help. It wasn't going to help my career at all either, because I can't show those samples to editors, because that's not my work. It's not flaunting what I'm good at. It's literally just doing that for a paycheck. And when you work in independent comics, you get paid, nothing. And that was a really stressful job, because one, I couldn't use it to further my career, and two, I don't want to freaking just translate your crudely drawn pictures. I want to use all the talent that I spent the hours drawing, staying up all night learning how to draw comics. You should use that to your advantage. Anyway, sorry, I got off on a bit of a tangent there, remembering stuff about my past. But yeah, if you're gonna hire somebody, make sure one you hire the right person. Like the guy I hired, he wasn't cheap. Like, he was definitely inexpensive, but it was not cheap. I was definitely paying for his living wages doing the comic. But to me, comics, you need to treat them like Jurassic Park. You need to be John Hammond, and you say, spare no expense. Does work like that hurt your enthusiasm for the craft? Yeah, it definitely does. It makes you go, I don't want to do this stupid stuff. Is this how comics are really going to be like? But no, they're not. But yeah. Be like John Hammond, spare no expense, get the best artist that, save your money up, obviously. Have all the money first to pay for the artist. Once you got that money saved, you've been saving all your pennies, contact that person. If they say no, that's fine, you can always find someone else. Hire the best person for the job that's going to do good, because then you will have way less headache. If you are trying to save money, just because you want to get your comic out there, and you hire a jabroni, aka someone who's just started out, which is good. I know a lot of people do it. I mean, that's how I got my start, doing comics like that. You're not going to get the greatest art, and you might be asking them to fix a lot of stuff, and you might cause you a headache. Where I personally think if you save your money and hire a professional, then you're going to get professional results. You're going to get a professional looking comic, which means you can show that comic to professional editors, and you might get a job working in the comic book profession. Like, I don't see why a lot of people are like, I want to do this book, but what's the question? What is a good speed of turnaround when you are commissioned for a comic? I'll answer that in a second. I don't see the point of hiring somebody whose art isn't that great, or sometimes these, like me, like my art was good, but I would give people worse art because I gave them the art that I thought I was being paid for. If someone was paying me £10 a page, you're going to get what looks like £10 a page. But if you give someone £50 to £100 a page, you're paying for the quality. Anyway, big tangent, but yeah. If you want to break into comics, especially as a writer, you need to show off your comics. you want to show off your comics to editors and show that you're a writer. A lot of them might look at some of the poorly drawn work, but if you have a great looking comic drawn well, like your story may not be that great, but you have a professional looking book which you can send to Image, to Marvel, to all these editors, and they'll look at it because they're like, you dedicated the time, you're obviously interested in the craft, you're clearly taking this seriously, this is what you want to do. You're not cutting corners or getting your mate to draw or something like that. Like, you're in it to win it. Anyway, sorry, that was a big tangent. Could you ask that question again? Because, sorry, I forgot what the question was. I saw someone say something about fair rates. If the person is a beginner artist, like I started on about £10 a page when I was really crap, and then it should definitely move up to, I would say you can get a good artist for £50 a page. 50 English, British pounds. Or dollars, depends on the person. That's going to be you're going to get some pretty good art for £50 a page. Anything above that, you're going to get some great art. But for, like, when I first started, I got about £10 a page, and I was crap, and I was producing crap work. Then I got a bump to £25 a page, and I was producing some better work. And then I asked for a raise, so I got £30 a page, and then I got some jobs that paid me £50 a page, and that it was just better. And then obviously Marvel, DC, all these people, they pay way more than that average rate. I won't tell you what, but they give you, a living wage. You don't become rich, but you certainly can pay your bills. I will just say anywhere from quadruple of 50 is what you averagely get if you work on a bigger project. Which is the way it should be. I mean, we're artists. We spend all day. We're in the trenches, working hard to get this stuff done. So these books come out. We definitely deserve the money we get, and in some ways we deserve a bit more. Man, I'm getting nasty. What is a good speed of turnaround when you are commissioned for a comic? I can see commissioning. Okay. What is a good turnaround time? Well, if you want to work professionally in comics, my average is anywhere from 3 to 4 pages a week. So I produce a comic every 6 to 7 weeks. Average on 6 weeks, sometimes 5 if I need to get the book done, sometimes 4 if it really needs to get done. That's for a professional printing level. With my artist that I commissioned, I gave him 2 months per issue, so that's 8 weeks. So at 8 weeks, which is about, 2 pages a week? Which is very easy to do. Like, any artist should be able to produce. Like, they say a page a day is what you should be doing, but that can be very difficult, especially the way art's progress now. I would say, I produce a page every day and a half to every 2 days, so that's what I would go for. But that's including working weekends. But if you're drawing an indie book, give them 2 to 3 months per issue. Again, and like a lot of people, they try and rush these projects out. Like, oh no, I need to, I gotta get this book done then. Like, why? Like, just take your time. That's why my personal project's going so slowly. There's no need to rush this stuff out to the market. Like, take your time, make it the best looking, best written project you can, and you'll be way happier for it. Words of wisdom. You're doing layouts, penciling, and inking the page yourself, so it's understandable it takes that long. Yes, that is very true. Good point. Yes, I should note I am a penciler and inker, so it takes me a day and a half to 2 days to get a page done because I am doing essentially 2 people's jobs. I'm penciling and inking. Whereas if I was just penciling, which I've done before, on the last issue of Great Lakes Avengers, I just penciled it. Half of it, and on Spider-Man Deadpool, the second issue, I was just doing some pencils for most of that book. that, like, if I just pencil a book, I can pencil 2 pages in a day. I'm a very quick penciler because my pencil style is extremely loose. So yes, it takes me a little while. And thanks for reminding me of that, because I always forget that not everybody inks their own work. But yeah, a penciler and inker, they should be able to bust it out slowly. But just a penciler, they should be producing the goods. It also depends how much experience these people had. Like, when my first comic, I drew Dino Zombies. Like, oh my god, it took me like 5 days to get 1 page done. Because I just wasn't practiced enough. And my skill set wasn't good enough where I was comfortable just to get rolling on a project. These are good questions, guys. They are really good questions. I think for anybody watching this video, they'll get a lot of useful information. So keep the good questions rolling. I'm here to help you with anything. And speaking, just touching on taking your time with stuff, like, I commissioned a guy to draw my comic last year. He's finished it. But I still need to get a colorist and a letterer, and I have no money saved for that, and there's no rush. It's not like I'm like, oh geez, I gotta get this book out now. Nope, I've been putting money away, and when that money's all saved up, then I will commission a colorist to color it and a letterer, and then I will look into pitching it to Image or to IDW, and if no one wants to take it, that's fine. I will print it myself and do a Kickstarter, but I will save the money to do it. I feel like I've been inking this one character for ages. Okay, man, thank you for the good questions. Where are good places to find comic penciling work when starting? How many page samples should you have when getting independent commission work? Good places to start with. So, I started by making my own comic, Dino Zombies, and I was uploading it on a webcomic website that I was associated with, Title Comics. I think they're still running. And then I discovered some websites, zwol.org. Now, I'm going to give you some links, but again, I don't know if these still are the right places to go because I've been out of the independent loop for a couple years now. So, zwol.org. The forums there is a great place for people to post their art, or for people post like writer looking for artists, and these are all people that I would say are at bottom level, ground level, just starting out, novice artists and writers. So it's a real great ground for people that are at the same level to get that type of work. So I definitely recommend zwol.org. I hope it's still running, because that's a really good website. And I was thinking of maybe creating a forum on my website, a place for people to advertise their work and potentially find people in the independent scene. Actually, that's a really good idea. I should do that. Anyway, so Zwol.org, that's a good place. If you look it up, please tell me if it's still running. I really hope it is. And there's just a forum, and there should be a sub-forum that's all about posting your artwork or trying to find jobs. So that's one. Then there is, I don't know if that's just still running, but Pencil Jack. The forums, I don't know if they're still advertising jobs or it's just art commissions. That's the same forum that Robert Kirkman started on as well. And Ryan Otley posting stuff. And Ryan Stegman, a long time ago. And there's one other link, but I can't remember it. But if you Google, like, I tried so many things. You know all those job websites and the art ones where people post stuff? Jobs. I used to sign up to all of those, advertising myself. I got random jobs. Like, I got a job working for Sony Pictures, doing art for... There was a release of The Amazing Spider-Man, the first Amazing Spider-Man film. And I got a job drawing everybody in the office as Spider-Man characters because they were having a office party celebrating the release of that film on Blu-ray. And I got paid pretty well to do that, so there's a lot of random stuff out there. Just Google comic book artist jobs or illustration jobs as well. Because a lot of jobs you do, you don't even need to draw comics, you can just do illustrations. And I would recommend doing illustration jobs because it's a lot less work and you get paid a lot more. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. Just Google it. Just Google comic book jobs, local comic book jobs, illustration jobs, artist jobs. You'll see a lot of places there where people are posting up, need someone to do this, need someone to do that. And you apply for it and you hope you get it. You know, you post up your stuff. I think you said something about how much work should I show. I would say anywhere from 5 to 10 samples of your art is enough. People are going to know from the get-go what how good you are from the first image you post. So make sure the first image you post is probably going to be your best work. Actually, no. Don't make the first image you show your best work. Make the best image, best artwork, the third one or the fourth. Hi, Will, this looks great. What cons are you at this year as a guest or just fun? Hey, Paul, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a long time. I hope everything's going good with you, mate. I hope your art's doing well. I've seen you post a couple of things. I'm going to be at Medway Comic Con and Screen Festival, March 20-something. One of those dates, 24th or 25th. It's a really cool little Comic Con. It's not a gigantic one. I think last year it was in like a gymnasium at a school. But that being said, like the great guests there, Lou Ferrigno was there and all this other stuff. And this year, Adams is going to be there, who's one of my personal heroes, and I think I'll be sitting next to him, which is really awesome. So yeah, Medway Comic Con and Screen Festival. That's where I'm going to be in March. I have not been doing... I used to do all the Showmasters shows. You know, the London Super Comic Cons. Well, not. I will be at London Super Comic Con this year, but that isn't until later this year. I like that convention. That's a convention where I broke in. But London Film Comic Con I'm not doing. And what's the other one called? It's London Film Comic Con and... Not London Super Comic Con. I can't remember. But I'm not doing too many conventions as I used to. A lot of the conventions are set up in a way where they don't appreciate any of the artists there. The artist alleys are always shoved in a corner. And I think it's insulting to professionals in the business and also all the amateurs out there trying to make a buck. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's Comic-Con, but the focus is not on comics. It's ridiculous. That's why I like doing Medway Comic-Con, because the focus is on comics. And London Super Comic-Con as well, because they're really good to people there. But yeah, so I'm doing London Super Comic-Con at the end of the year, or whenever it is, August or whatever. And Medway Screen Comic-Con. Wow, I feel like I took ages to answer that question. I think my brain's breaking down a bit. How are you, Paul? Last time I saw you was at London Super Comic Con. A couple years ago now. Probably this time 2 years ago. How's it going, James? Nice to see more people popping into this. And just let people know I should probably be done, hopefully, in about half an hour with this piece. Kieran! How's it going, man? Hope your baby's doing well. Chloe told me the other day that you contacted her about setting up something of meeting up, and I'm definitely up for that, so hopefully we can get that sorted out soon. Again, if everybody's got any questions, feel free to ask. This has been really good questions so far. Some of the best, I would say. Oh, hang on, let me read your comment on my phone because it cuts it off on here. Oops. All good, thanks, mate. I've been illustrating an RPG game and now focusing back on Marvel. I'll check out Medway Comic Con to see both you and Art Adams. Awesome. Awesome RPG game. That sounds really fun. And focusing back on Marvel, so I'm guessing you're sending out to get sample scripts and all that stuff. I know a lot of people are doing that right now. Kieran is apparently live streaming on Twitch, so everyone follow Kieran Shalou. Great artist and good friend. When I'm done here, I'll go check out your Twitch stream if you're still doing it. But yeah, glad you're focusing back on Marvel. Like I said, there's a couple of people I know. Johnny Rector, he's been sending out samples to them. Who else? Joe Mulvey has been another great artist. It's just luck of the draw. You just keep showing them that you're interested in working for them. Keep asking for samples every couple months, and they put you on file. And you just gotta hope that an editor takes a liking to your work and is in a jam and hires you up. Like, that's how I got hired. I got hired to fill in for Star-Lord because they needed someone to get a ton of pages done very quickly, and the editor liked my artwork. and I was off and rolling doing that, and that's, yeah, like they know, I think it's because they know when they hire somebody new, most of the time they're going to produce work on time because they want to show that they work for the company or whatever. You've been given the Spider-Gwen script? That's hilarious. Jonathan Rector, he got the Spider-Gwen script as well. Since I don't have any published comics, should I even try samples with a place like Marvel? Of course you should. Marvel didn't hire me because I had published work. Marvel hired me because of the sample art that I showed them. You just have to be good at art. That's the great thing about breaking in. Like, if you want to break in as a writer, you need to have published printed work. And it's got to look good and it's got to read well. And even if it is good, they'll be like, this is great, but we don't have any, we're not hiring any writers right now. Breaking in as a writer is ridiculously tough. But as an artist, you just got to show them your pages. Now, if you're a penciler inker, you should need to show both. So what I did was I printed off the pencils and the inks separately. And then those pencils and inks in my binder were side by side. You at any shows soon? I didn't expect you to read my tweet now. It just popped up. I just answered that before. I'm going to be at Medway Screen Festival or whatever it's called. But no, not any others. I'm really out of the loop of doing them. Could you do me a favor, Kieran? Could you message me where I sign up for all those London cons? Because I need to get back into doing that. Because I miss seeing you guys, and I want to get back in the con game. The reason I stopped doing those London ones is because I wasn't getting much work. What PS4 games are you playing? Ooh, good question. I am playing Fallout 4. I am playing Battlefront 2. I'm playing WWE 2K18. I'm playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, those are the games I'm playing right now for the PlayStation 4. If anybody wants to add me on PlayStation 4, my name is Dino-Zombies, which is the name of my first comic. If I draw an ink and Marvel think my inks are not good enough, do you think they would get me an inker? Yeah. A lot of the times they like to see the pencils and inks because they might think that your pencils are amazing. Or they might think you're a really crappy inker, so they might just hire you as a penciler. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, I never planned to be a penciler inker. I just wanted to be a penciler, but the independent world, like, you rarely get a job as just a penciler in independent comics. They look for someone who can just do all the jobs at once. So that seems to be... I mean, inkers are kind of dying out. I'm surprised... It's funny because obviously I'm a penciler and inker. I wonder if Marvel would ever ask me to ink somebody else's work. Like, I would be so up for it if they were like, hey, do you want to ink this Art Adams piece? I'd be like, fuck yeah, I want to ink that. Or, heck yeah. Sorry, I can't swear because I think YouTube demonetizes people that swear. Dang it, I just swear. I just started playing Horizon Zero Dawn. It's really fun. That game looks pretty damn cool. I'm going to wait until it's super cheap in a couple of years. And then I'll pick it up. But it looks like a fun game. It looks like the Eater of Time, though. You're right. My dog's choking something up. She's now playing with her Snorty Pig toy, which is always appropriate for when you're recording a live stream. Am I a fan of Trav Moore's work? Definitely am. I think his art is super awesome. I've chatted with him a few times. He's a nice bloke. He's recently moved to England as well. I usually digidraw now, so I sketch things. Oh, I missed your question. Hang on, let me look at my phone. Yeah, Trav Moore's awesome. His inks are so tight, it's ridiculous. I usually draw digital now, so I just sketch things out and tighten things down. Traditional, I draw blue pencil and ink, so I don't know if anyone could ink my pencils, just enhance my inks. Yeah, I mean that's what I've done now, is I don't have like my pencils. Let's have a look at what the pencils are for this. Let's turn off these ink layers. So these are my pencils before inking. So as you can see, they're super rough, super loose. Lots of lines everywhere. And then look, even a different guy in the background, I replaced him with this guy. So I thought it was more interesting. Very rough stuff. I've had to before when other people are inking me. And I just kind of felt like I was wasting my time. So now I obviously do this stage, and then use the thin to fix. Just whatever works for you. Luna, you're making so much noise. Can you guys hear her? She's snorting up a storm. Wow. Now you got a squeaky toy? You're the worst. Oh, she's now brought me the squeaky toy. I cannot play with you, I'm at work. You know this. This is a routine. I can't play with you. I'm sorry. This is when I need to buy another dog to keep the other dog company while I'm working. Don't look at me like that. You're making me feel guilty about... She doesn't understand the concept of money, and what I'm doing gets her all the treats. How often do you save? The nice thing about working on the iPad Pro is that it pretty much is saving most of the time. I think it auto saves every 5 or 10 minutes. So I barely have to save on here. I'll just save now. Why not? When I worked on my Wacom Cintiq, I made it mandatory that anytime I finished maybe 5 or 10 minutes work, I would click save. Because my computer is a piece of crap. And it would shut down a lot. And it would drive me mad because I would lose lots of work. So I made it a sort of natural thing to do it. My brother's messaging me about the Han Solo trailer. I haven't seen it yet. How's it going, Woody? I guess I picked the right time of the day. Seems like a lot of people are able to hop into this. Keep the questions coming, guys. Keep the questions coming, guys. Cheers. How did I learn line weights? Good question. Through practice and study, really. I mean, so I've studied a lot of Spawn, this book Spawn, especially issues 50 through 100. Love the line weights then that McFarlane, Capullo and Danny Mickey were able to create. Lots of thin to thicks. And then I looked at people like J. Scott Campbell and Todd Knock and the way they were doing line weights, and it really inspired me. An average rule obviously is I don't create much light because I'm really bad at shading. So I generally just try and separate my shapes. But as you can see, like if you look at this elbow here compared to the line weights up here, this one here is way thicker. Because I'm saying, well, my fiance is saying that she's hungry. That's thicker than up there because I'm saying that's going further away from lights, and then obviously, like this here is thicker because it's closer to the screen. So that's what I generally try and do. Actually, this needs to be a bit thicker. So it's really through study and practice, which is, I know, the horrible thing. No one wants to hear that, but that's really how I learned to do it. If you look, I mean, God, my original line weights were so thick. Oh my God, they were such thick lines. But then I learned how to thin it up, or know what should be thin, what should be thick. She's not here. She's just messaging me, so she's not gonna be able to see that, Kieran. What file type do you export your work as? When I send clients just a screenshot, I mean on the iPad now, I literally just, if I want to show them the cover, I'll just screenshot it and then edit it like that. Or I'll cut this. Ooh. No, I'll cut it down to whatever shape the cover is so you can see it in full. Click done. I'm going to delete that. I'll save that and send it in an email. But for client work, it's a TIFF, a layered TIFF. So file, export. Well, I usually save as, or save duplicate, and then I'll click TIFF. Hang on, I just missed a question there. How do you decide what goes on the cover? Because you don't want to spoil something, but it has to be in connection with the story. Generally, you are given a prompt. You're not usually allowed to have free range. Depends on what you're working on. Like the Turtles cover, I have free range because it's just a stowaway cover. These have all been mapped out. These were told, all right, cover one needed to be an ode to the movie, so I just drew a bunch of characters from the movie and the logo of his shirt. Cover 2 needed to be from an issue in the comic where these people invade Wong's wedding, and this guy's attacking in the background. So that happens in the comic. Cover 3 is also... Oh, my screen's frozen. Cover 3 is another bit from the comic. Oh man, I hope the stream's not messing up because my program's freezing. Which it never does, but I think it's because it's running high, filming at the same time. Come on! Ah, shit, I'm frozen. Hopefully the stream's still going. Let's have a look. Hopefully. Yep, it is. Okay. I'm probably going to miss some questions now as well. Good thing I saved, yeah. Hey Jacob, how's it going? So then when we got to these covers, these weren't in the comic. These 4 covers right here. These are supposed to fill the gaps in between the comics, and I had some creative freedom where I said, well, I wanted to fight a giant Chinese dragon. They said, cool, you can do that. And I was like, I also want them to fight the famous Chinese monkey warrior. And they said, cool, you can do that. And they said, oh, how about like a zombie type thing with everyone turning into Yeti monsters? And then how about when they're a bit older, meeting up in Wong's restaurant with his wife in the background. I was like, okay, cool. And then the next cover was something that happens in the book, and something happens in the book, and then, again, this is all stuff that happens in the book. Marvel is generally, it depends on the cover. With Great Lakes Avengers, they just gave me a prompt where it's like, this is what the cover should be, and I would do it. Other people are different, where they say, just give us a cool action shot, or give us, do it, like, for instance, the first Spider-Man Deadpool I did, they said, oh, it'd be great if you did an ode to No More, or whatever it's called, and I did the No More Jokes cover. Sorry, I feel like I'm stumbling a bit here. Anyway, you get prompts, and if you don't get prompts, then what I usually do is on a piece of paper, I do this, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I start doodling a bunch of different covers. Use the triangle always. And then I send it to them and I say, which ones are your favourites? 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I always also go, like, whatever number I think is my favourite, I go 4 is like my favourite. So 4 is my favourite cover, I go, just to let you know, 4 is the one I really like. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, do the one that you like then. So that's how it goes. If that makes sense. No worries, baby. It is on the iPad, yes, and it works great. Subscription. I mean, I paid for Clip Studio, so it's kind of annoying that even though I own the program, I have to pay for a subscription service on an iPad. Hang on, it says for a regular interior page, do you use Clip Studio? Oh, I missed that question. Sorry. I'll read it in a sec. God, what was I saying now? My brain's not working. iPad. Oh, subscription service. So it's going to be, what, £8.99 a month to use Clip Studio on the iPad. And the only reason I'm okay with that is because it's tax deductible for me. So it's another way just to lower in paying for certain taxes on things. So that's why I'm slightly okay with it. But it's just typical that I just bought the new Clip Studio on my PC, and then 2 weeks later it comes out for the iPad. I'm like, God damn it. Could have saved some money. Right, we need to go to cover 1. Need to copy the logo. Hopefully the right one. Paste. I'll look at your question in a second, the one that was sent. Just the right one, or just that's the one that's messed up. concentrating now. There it is. One of the reasons why I drew the logo big on the first one is so I could copy and paste it, so I wouldn't have to keep drawing this freaking logo on his shirt. I've got some questions, so give me a second. I'm just gonna transform this. Sorry, this takes a bit of concentration, so I can't multitask with this. Just gonna put this logo on his shirt. This is called a mesh transform. And like a net, you can make it move in a certain way that makes it feel like it's wrapping around an object. Like so. Yeah, my brain automatically saved there. Alright, let me catch up on some questions. Oops. For a regular interior page size canvas, do you use the Clip Studio options or do you have a size you found works for you? The dimensions I use are what's required to me by the companies that I work for. I made the dimensions for them a long time ago. If I go to... is it in here? No, it's not. Generally, they're a certain size. I can't remember the exact dimensions. But, yeah, whatever the company's printing dimensions are is what I work with. I would say the built-in ones on Clip Studio are not great because they're more for anime. And they're not true to what the actual printing is for each individual company. Is it a good idea to learn from drawing by studying other artists? I've read a lot of drawing books, but I find it helps me identify what I've learned by looking at their drawings. Definitely. I am a huge believer in you got to learn how to draw from looking at other people's art. I rarely, like everyone always said, you got to look at real life. There's definitely good doing that, but I've barely learned anything from looking at real life. I've learned how to do wrinkles and clothes, shapes and hair, and all this stuff by looking at my favourite artists over looking at what this stuff looks like in real life. So yes, definitely do that. Oops. Yeah, digital can be very scary when starting out. If you look, my signature is still a work in process. It's continually changing all the freaking time. Where should I put this? I'm not done with this piece yet. I just wanted to add my signature. I think it should be okay right there. Bit over. There we go. Okay, so they're flying all about. This is the scene, what happens in the book. New layer. Just want to add some debris floating around. I don't know where. Okay. on. There we go. Small stones, that's what I'm looking for. How big's that brush? That's good. I think that looks like crap. I'll just make my own tree. I'm adding debris because they're floating around in like a sort of tornado. And the nice thing about adding debris is you can cover up a lot of the places of art that you think looks kind of crappy. Or where you think there's a bit too much negative space or something. My tablet's running low on battery. There we go. Selection. Select color gamut. Inks. Those down. So now we got some floating rocks. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy and paste. Select color gamut. I'm going to select the white. Put that in black, and then I'm going to take it and move it slightly, and that's going to give line weight instantly. See that? So now they all have a bit of line weight on them. New layer. Take a hairpin table actually. We're just going to turn this into some rocks. Oh, to use the toilet. I'll be back in just a sec. Luna, wait for me. Not we on the floor. Good girl. You're a good girl, yes you are. Sorry about that, guys. Oops. Is the screen flipped? Am I working the right way? Let me check. Nearly done with this anyway. The stream's still... Oh god, it sounds like I'm breathing like James Gandolfini. Nope, screen's not flipped. Fun fact, 11. Cool, Todd McFarlane went to sorry, I just ran down spiral staircase and I'm fat, so I'm winded now. So the best thing to do is play with whatever shapes you've created to create some sort of rock forms out of them. This is a good practice in trying to draw things in 3 dimensions, that's for sure. See there, it just auto-saved. Sometimes it does that. I need to actually see the lightning's going over the rubble there. So I need to erase the lightning. I need a bit more line weight around that one so it's more in the foreground. And there we go, we've added some rubble into this so it looks a bit more actiony and full. And I believe that we are done. I could always go a bit more in depth. Add maybe some teeth down here. This is just to show that this is going into darkness. The bottom of this line is the darkest line it will be. I sometimes do that. Very J. Scott Campbell type rendering. I like to do it, but honestly, when the colors are in the piece, this barely shows up anymore. Call this flare. Add a bit of flare. It also, I think, makes him stand out a bit. So when you zoom out, those lines suddenly look a bit darker. So they pop out a bit more. Okie doke. Bad boy done. So thank you very much for joining me on this. I didn't do his mouth down there. But that's okay, because it's not going to be on this cover. So we've only got one more Big Trouble in Little China cover, and then it's done. It's been a long series. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. You can find me on any social media at Robson Inc. INK. If you like podcasts, you can listen to me on Spider-Man the Animated Series podcast or Spider-Man TAS podcast, which is on iTunes and the other thing, SoundCloud. That's it. And yeah, just keep up with me on all the social medias. I'll be doing stuff. And thank you very much for joining. Great questions this time. I'm hoping that a lot of people will watch this and get a lot of good. See you later.